Hello and welcome to Sleep Talk, a sideshow by Dreamers Theater. This is the show where we just generally talk about our love of TTRPGs. We get a topic for today, and we talk about it until we think that we've kind of gone through it enough, and maybe you've learned something by the end of it. I am the host for today's episode, Slive, also known as Slive the Lad, on all of the social medias that you can think of, except for most of them. And today I am joined by Edward.
Hello there. I don't have social media. Get fucked.
No, you don't, but Dreamers Theater does. And you can follow us for updates on Blue Sky. You can follow us for little funnies at Dreamers Theater on TikTok and on Instagram. And it's theaters with an R-E because Micah made the account and we can't stop her. We also have a YouTube if you're not listening to this on YouTube. And we have a Spotify if you're not listening to this on Spotify. We're kind of everywhere. We have a lot of shows. We also have main campaign shows and stuff like that. But that's enough plugging.
We're everywhere. We're in your walls.
We are everywhere. I am right behind you right now. Here is a free coupon to nothing. You're welcome.
Here's a
free coupons to nothing are just like wasted paper.
Free coupon to watch our podcast.
That's true. Not listen to it, though. You can only watch it.
No,
you
there's
get
no
1
audio.
cent at a time. It's 1 cent at a time.
Yeah, that's what the
all we
coupons
can
are for.
afford.
The coupons let you get additional senses.
Yeah, we get 1 extra cents, but we also take away the other cents. So there's ones where you can taste the podcast, but those don't sell very well.
No, not usually. Especially some of the episodes where violence occurs.
Yeah, no, especially Cracks in the Porcelain Border taste coupons are down 1,000,000%.
Fuck,
But
we need to artificially inflate the stocks of it.
Yes. One last thing before we actually get into this is that if you have any questions that we can answer on a future Sleep Talk, you can put them in the comments of the YouTube video of this upload, or you can email us at dreamertheaters@gmail.com, I believe. If that is incorrect, because I don't have it on me right now, you can check our accounts for any messages. Just make sure you have Sleep Talk in the subject so that we know where to find you and everything's good. All right. Now, Edward, what are we talking about today?
Balancing, but not balancing combat, and not balancing as in difficulty, but balancing in the sense of, is your party balanced so that you're not all damage and instantly die the moment someone does a spell that stops you from doing said damage?
That's right. So balancing parties, you kind of explained it in a dungeoneering term, but I would even say that this goes even beyond that. This is for, adventuring parties. It's for coteries. It's for buddies. It's for investigators. Whatever you want to call your group of players, you still have to balance around your fellow PCs, no matter what the situation calls for. And I think no matter what the system is, unless it's a very free-form system.
Yeah, and we're not just talking balancing classes. We're talking about balancing narrative. Each character will have their own backstory and personality. At least they should if it's balanced. Which will lead to a more diverse and interesting environment, and will lead to more ways that the players can interact with the environment.
Yeah, exactly. So we both did about an hour's worth of notes today before this episode started. So let's get into that a little bit. You kind of touched up half an hour. Oh, that's even better.
I know. Right?
I think you touched on actually my first subject, which was diversity, which I think is really important to make a party work. Not exactly diversity in the sense that everyone has to be doing something explicitly different. If you are all circus, if you decide you want your group to be a bunch of people at the circus employees or something like that, not one guy should just be a cop that's just in the circus constantly. You can make that work, but it's weird. It's kind of weird. Why is a cop here all the time?
I mean, there might be a reason. You can always come up with a reason why. It could be oh, maybe the cop has a deal with this circus for whatever reason. But the point is, it shouldn't be that there are two cops that are there for that reason. There are not two cops there to protect this circus because they have a deal with the circus. Now that starts to seem weird.
Yeah, that's weirder for sure. Yeah, it's like just there's a point where it's like you can make one strange PC work, but even not like if you're all like, oh, let's all be in the circus, and then one PC decides not to be part of the circus, and then another PC decides not to be a part of the circus, like you start to lose that cohesion, and then it starts to feel strange. Like, why did we even do this circus setup in the first place? We got to figure something out.
There has to be a mixture of like, this makes sense to be together, but everyone's different enough that it's not copy and pasting the same character 3 to 5 times.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot systems give a lot of options to stop this from happening very naturally. Like most TTRPGs have like some sort of class-based system. D&D has like rangers, paladins, sorcerers, wizards. There are Pathfinder has wizards, barbarians, the same shit. But other ones like Starfinder have a very similar class system. There's a RPG, an apocalypse RPG called Sins, where they have oaths kind of things that you take. I don't remember what they're specifically called, but basically like ways of life, and there's only 5 of them, but you can still take those in your own way.
Yeah. And oh my god, Slav, I'm going to say it. Lancer has a really unique system where you just take bits and pieces of each thing to make yours. And as long as everyone's not just going, oh, I love this one specific mech, let's just have 4 of that one specific mech, you know? They're literally, it has tags on it that are like, oh, this mech is an artillery, this mech is a support. What you want, what you hopefully have, is a good mix of each one. And like, some mechs are dual roles, which means, yeah, you could fill both those roles, but it still might be nice to have a dedicated mech doing this specific role. Damage, for example.
Yeah, and you're talking about roles here, and that's very interesting because I think that's not something everyone thinks of when they think of a character. Because like when you're trying to make a character, you want to make something interesting to you, someone interesting to you, someone that's interesting to play, or maybe has these cool mechanics or cool weapons or cool items or cool magic. You don't really think about how they serve the greater story until like a little later. I think it's a group growth thing where you finally realize, oh, this isn't just a character for me, it's a character for the group, it's a character for the story. And I'd like to actually like expand on that a little bit. This is going to go kind of deep into Cracks in the Porcelain Border, which I'm going to try and avoid talking about it too much because I want this to be an episode that you can stand alone. But let's talk about like the PC's roles in Cracks in the Porcelain Border. We can start with your character. If you like, I think we all know Valsik's kind of like deal. By the time that this episode's out, I think everyone kind of gets him, but he does serve a very important role for the campaign. I think it's fair for you to say your piece on your character first before I start talking about the things that I feel.
Before you steal my thunder completely? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Valsik is if you've seen Porcelain Border, you know Valsik is very much the eccentric type. He's very flashy, but he can also be sneaky when he needs to be. His whole purpose is subterfuge. He is get into a place he's not supposed to, make a really big scene, draw attention so that everyone else can go on and do what they're supposed to be doing in the background. But at the same time, he also can support the rest of the party. He's got the ability to make, for example, a cart just using his magic, or if you need a specific item to get somewhere, or props for something, like, oh, we need these outfits to get into this place, he can just make that appear. And he really isn't designed to well, I say designed, he's really not meant to function on his own. He's designed to function with the group as a whole.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You made a character that like does it like yearn so much for the spotlight, yet he's so perfect for playing like that helper role, that like just support that gets everyone else a step ahead of everyone else, you know? Like and mechanically we're playing Dungeons and Dragons 5.5, and you're playing a Bard of Creation or Bard College of Creation, Rogue, Arcane Trickster, multiclass, right?
I was gonna say Valsik's got 4 levels in Bard and 3 in Rogue. And specifically, a lot of the spells that I have taken for him are very much illusion or tricking people in some way, changing people's perception. Very few of his spells are actually damaging spells, and he does have the very rare healing spell.
The very, very rare. Yeah, it's interesting because mechanically, like Rogue and Bard rely on charisma and dexterity, and having to be a character that talks his way out of things and slinks around, you don't think of as this giant, big performer. You would try to think of them as people who try to like fall in the background and maybe do a couple threats and, you know, maybe be a loudmouth, but never try to garner attention except for when they need it. But Valsik yearns for attention, and it's really good because we were talking about narrative balancing. Valsik fits that role as a loudmouth, a constant talker to 3 very quiet characters. I would say Shiro's probably the second most yappy character of the 4 of you.
Yeah.
But Micah's character, KJ... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'd agree with the most part, except for, like, KJ specifically, when it's something KJ's passionate about, KJ can get real loud about it, as we see a few times in some of the episodes.
Yes, very much so. But I think that's interesting because KJ gets loud for, like, a reason. Valsik gets quiet for a reason. And that's kind of an opposite, like, kind of an almost the polar opposite, I would say. Maybe closer to Nox, even, who is, like, this grizzled detective, like very, very inspired by noir detective stuff, and he just keeps to himself. He's like not a talker whatsoever. He just kind of keeps to himself, stays very quiet, tries to like ease up on everything, but he's also the smartest of the 4, and that's where his role lies. And it's very interesting to see that everyone is doing what makes them good. Like, I think in the campaign we are very much amplified to see what the PCs are good at, while also watching where they falter pretty soon. Like, I think in a few episodes from when this gets released, we'll probably see where a lot of the characters start to fall and start to crack a bit under the pressure of the job that they're in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything because in case people aren't caught up with the podcast, but well, with Porcelain Border specifically. But things definitely got tense in the last episode that we recorded.
Yeah. The last one that we recorded is probably, like, that's going to be a while after this even gets uploaded, I think. Just, I guess, for funsies, if people are interested in what it is, we just did episode 6. We just recorded episode 6 very recently. So we're off the highs of that. The highs and the lows, I guess we should say. And no spoilers, but shit gets really intense while relying a lot on trying to, like, those players trying to figure out where they shine. Shiro, especially in that episode, trying to make, I think Shiro has these kind of, like, Shiro's a great hunter. His whole thing is, like, he's playing full ranger. He's a great hunter. He has a bird companion that helps him track and all that stuff. But he's kind of like out of his element in this city, right? I don't know if you've noticed that, Edward.
Oh, I would totally agree. Like the thing, another big thing about like character balancing story wise is every character is going to kind of have their preferred environment to operate within. And like Shiro, very much preferred environment out in the woods, middle of fuck all nowhere. No one around, just dealing with nature. And like each character that we've seen in Porcelain Border kind of has their own, I'd say, preferred-esque environment. I think there's some overlap there, definitely. For example, with like Valsik and Nox, they definitely prefer a much more urban environment. And Corey seems to much more prefer, like, I would almost say like boonies.
Yeah, just like a village, one village in the middle of nowhere. And he's fine, and he's happy.
Yeah, a more closed, tightly knit environment is what I would say.
Yeah, I think Valsic and Nox are in their element the most with this city. I also feel like they're struggling the most with the things that are coming towards them. And I think that's what's cool about balancing your narrative. And goes into my other point, is that Valsic and Nox have been struggling very heavily with the the kind of restraint around them. And I think they've been trying to find ways to break out of the mold, but they keep getting kind of set back and they keep getting met with resistance that they didn't expect. While KJ, on the other hand, is constantly stopping himself from breaking those restraints because he can do it easily. Those resistances will not fall on him any less hard, but he knows that he can break them way easier than KJ or not KJ, than Nox or Valsic can. But he's constantly trying to stop himself. And I think those are that's a way that's like narratively balancing each other out, because when KJ basically has to like calm down, Valsic gets even angrier. I think.
Yeah. As much as Valsic very much acts like an asshole, especially to the rest of his party mates, he does care for them.
Yeah, to a point.
He definitely wouldn't be sacrificing himself for anyone, but like
no. He cares the same way that like you care about your houseplant.
Yeah, or you care about your really stupid pet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, another point that I have here, because when it comes to diversity, like, or at least balancing, I think people are very worried about making their character have an obvious flaw or weakness. And that's not your place to cover because, jack of all trades, master of none. And that's, to a point, there is some sage advice there. But that's for if you're looking at yourself as an individual rather than as a party. And when you're playing a group game, you got to think of yourself as a group member. And if you don't have any major flaws, then you're not interesting. And also, if you can do everything, then why are your party mates there? Like, it feels shitty to make a character that's really good at one thing or a couple things, and when you try to do that, there's another PC that's just like, no, that's my thing now. That's actually my thing, and I upstage you. And there's a point to be made about like the dice being in your favor or not, especially with a game like D&D where you play with D20s, where you can have a +8 and still get a nat 1, and someone could have a -2 and beat you with an 18. But I think there's a point to be made about trying to play a character to their strengths without being afraid to have failings.
Yeah, I'd agree. And like another thing that I've kind of seen in action is actively when someone builds a character and maybe doesn't have like weaknesses in mind through roleplay or through actions within the story, they'll eventually kind of learn that their character has these specific weaknesses.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk about our first home Starfinder game. My character was named Baza. He was a kind of like roguish starport fare. He had like basically found a magic artifact that he got his powers from and has just been using those to coast for his entire life. But he was like the Witchwarper class, and he had the pilot skill, but he had low dexterity, and he had like firearms, but he had, again, low dexterity. And I think a lot of his skills weren't really played into anything other than charm and social status. So anytime he was about to get into fight, I would just look at my sheet and be like, oh no. Oh god, what did I do? But a lot of the time, the PCs would actually like have my back and do a lot of damage while I would maybe cast a spell that would fuck up some communications or stuff like that. And, be a pest rather than a fighter, which I really liked, actually. But I really liked playing Baza in that way, to be like a pest and annoyance, but a good talker. And while I don't think I got to fully play that to up to Baza's possible potential due to external things, but also my own like novice-ishness Jesus in the system, and also in role playing at the time of, I still had fun learning about what Baza's strengths and weaknesses were just through play.
Yeah, and I'd say like it in that campaign specifically, a lot of players learned that the characters they had built had weaknesses they weren't expecting, or maybe didn't have weaknesses where they thought they would, which was quite interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it was very unnerving to see Neptune's player. I don't know if they want to be like named, so I'm not gonna use their real name. But Neptune's player, when we were in the cave, just like throw a fucking sticky nade or something and make a path so that we could just fully escape, like full on sprint, run away, and seeing that like PC kind of like the gears turn during that scene was really cool. I'm leaving a lot of context out for the viewers. I'm sorry for that, but basically, like, we were all in an ancient cave.
I'm just gonna say this real quick. By sticky nade, he doesn't mean grenade that sticks to someone. He means grenade that shoots out like a sealant that sticks everything nearby to the surface that it's on.
Yeah, exactly, like a web grenade or something like that. Think of if there's any Call of Duty Zombies players out there, like Widow's Wine grenades, kind of. That might be a little too niche, but we might have COD players on the payroll.
Right for the niche references.
Yeah, it's not that niche. It's Call of Duty, okay? It's not that niche. TTRPGs.
It's Call of Duty Zombies specifically as well.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. It's only their most popular mode. That's not even true.
No.
I can't even say that. That's so sad, actually. But yeah. So just to give a little more context to that scene, basically we were all cornered. We were trying to like investigate this one ancient cave with like a lot of relics and stuff in it. Or I guess there was nothing in it, but we were trying to like solve a puzzle. But basically, the Galactic Feds got down and started investigating the cave, and we all hid. One of our players got a shot off, missed. I started using some spells, and this guy was like the general, or like the major leader that was ahead of them, was not taking any damage, and it was looking so bad. But one of the other PCs who wasn't with us at the time, Neptune, who's heavily inspired by, like, think of cybernetic Monkey D. Luffy from One Piece, who got left behind, ran to the cave entrance, threw a sticky nade, which immobilized all of the enemies at the cave entrance for one turn, and for that turn, we all booked it out of the cave. I went to my ship, because Baz is like a captain of this old like shipwreck called Stacy that he loves too much, so he started running through this fucking wilderness, this like not urban planet, but this like forest planet that was filled with deadly shit, and without a care in the world, and everyone else just took the space station or the space fed's ship and just flew out of there from that. And it was really cool because we were all fucked there. Like we were all, our weakness was that we were not even like I think narratively none of us really knew what was happening, and the two players that knew it was who we were being chased by knew that we lost. So we were like in a very deadly situation that like some people didn't even want to fight up against. We like had some people missing. We had some bad rolls. We just had some people in unlikely situations. Like our sniper was in close quarters, like it was a cave, so you can't really hide that well in a cave when it's that close quarters. We were all at a major disadvantage, and because the player who was playing Neptune basically bought a couple items and had a sick fucking throwing arm, we managed to all get away pretty much unscathed. And without Neptune like having a good throwing arm and having the stretchy limbs and all that stuff, we probably wouldn't have gotten out of there. Or if we did, it would have been on the Fed's terms rather than ours. We probably would have had to do some mercenary work for them. So I think that's really cool.
Oh, no. You guys would have been sent straight to jail.
Oh, fuck. Oh, shit.
Second prison break in my Starfinder campaign.
Wonderful. Yeah, we do it again. But if we're talking about, like, when talking about bouncing, if you want to max out this stat, then I'll max out a different stat. Like, that's a very simple way of thinking about it. Oh, if you're taking this class, I'll take this different class. But there's also, like, we were talking about the narrative, and we're talking about a lot of pieces about that. And there is a point to be made about your archetype. Like, who are you in this group? Like, what makes you unique, and what, like, kind of story are you trying to tell with your character? Because I don't think that just your class tells that story. It can help, it can assist, it can add on to it, but you have to have that foundation that is inherently something new or interesting that splits away from the other party mates, because there are plenty of stories that I've heard where people all take the same class and they are all different performers. Like, take like the classic one is like just a ballad of bards, right? In D&D 5e, you can all be bard classes, like 4 bards in one campaign, you all fuck around. And in the bard, like just playing bard, you can be so many different things because a bard is an entertainer or an artist in some form, and you can do that through the subclass system where like there's the College of Swords, there's the College of Scribes, there's the College of fucking Dance now, which is really cool. It's like the martial, it's the new martial version where you fucking break dance on somebody to kick their ass. It's really cool. But like, how is your art different than the rest of your party mates is important. If you're gonna all choose the same class, you really have to be different. You have to be very, very different. You have to prove that you are unique in this sea of just not just your players, but also the characters of the world, right? What makes you you? What makes you this form of protagonist for this story?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, having unique characters is the cornerstone to a good campaign.
Yeah, I think I guess it's unfair for me to be like, make a unique character and not give any help. So I do have something here where we do this for every one of our campaigns right now. Like for Crossing the Porcelain Border, we did this. But like, if you know what genre you're going for, watch some tape, watch some media involving that, like that genre, right? If you're doing a classic noir film-based mystery thing, like, not everyone has to be the gritty detective. So like, even like, if someone's gonna be Sherlock Holmes, someone else has to be Watson, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say someone else has to be, but someone else
not it
could
has to be.
be.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what I meant. But like, not everyone's gonna be
Trying
Sherlock
to make
Holmes.
people play Watson. I can't.
Everyone should be
believe this.
playing John Watson. He's based.
He is based. He also has a gun.
He also has a gun. The only way I know about
He has a gun.
Canonically is allowed to use a firearm. How cool is that? Yeah, I would watch like media, because I think one that I specifically thought of when I was making the notes is that like apocalypse films, right? Zombie apocalypse or like end of the world shit, Fallout, for example. All of those like stories usually pertain to a bunch of people from a bunch of different backgrounds trying to survive. And while that may sound like everyone's doing the same thing, so why does it matter? Everyone's background actually becomes useful in the apocalypse, because everyone needs someone to be able to do that. If you're a carpenter, holy shit, you can help us build some walls that don't fall apart. If you're like a nurse, you know some medical stuff. Maybe you know where to get medicine. Maybe you know how to treat a wound. If you are a soldier or a veteran, you at least know how to like deal with weapons. You have close combat experience. You can do all these things. No matter who you are, you can be an asset. You just have to find out why you're an asset to this team.
Yeah. Like, every skill you can think of can be applied some way in apocalyptic setting. And, I mean, personally, that's one of the reasons I love apocalyptic settings so much, is because there's just so much you can do with it. Any skill becomes useful. You know mechanics? Great! You can probably fix a car. Might not be a great idea depending on the apocalyptic setting, but still, that's a thing you can do. You got a degree in engineering? Sick! Do something with buzzsaws.
Do something wild.
Yeah, it's like, in a setting like that, no matter what you specialize in, it will probably be useful in some way.
Sorry, I had to close my window. I didn't realize it was open this whole time.
Oh my god, I can't believe this.
It's all good.
Mid-recording?
Mid-recording. I know, it's so embarrassing. Yeah, I think that it's very interesting, like, narratively. Obviously, apocalypse stories are a very obvious answer, but what if you're playing Cult of Cthulhu, and then all of you are, like, detectives or investigators? How do you differentiate yourself? Well, investigating only needs one investigator. Like, in Cult of Cthulhu, I don't really know the classes or anything, but I know that, like, you always need some form of muscle in, like, something like this. You got to deal with cultists a lot, so someone needs to know how to beat up a cultist. you probably need a cultist on your group because someone needs to know about that shit. A scientist or a researcher is always good. And then actually like a detective, someone who can like take those clues together. And those are 4 very vague options, but they're not the only options you have to take. Or like you can take those options and tweak them to make them something that is your own, or something that fits a even nicher role or something like that.
Yeah,
but like,
and it doesn't mean you can't have 2 detectives or 2 scientists. Like, there's still plenty of ways that you can make the 2 characters unique, you know? You can have the one detective who's, like, very by the books, very strict, you know, uptight and so on and so forth. And you could have the very loose detective who just kind of flies by the seat of his pants. Maybe you could go with, like, the classic kind of, like, drunkard kind of detective look to it.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. The Nice Guys, starring Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe.
why is everything a reference with you?
I don't know. I need help. But yeah, like exactly. You can play 2 of the same role, but they have to have something unique to them, and also they should have different specialties. Like let's say we're playing an alien-inspired TTRPG or the Alien TTRPG, because I think that's a real thing.
Oh,
And you're on the ship, and you both decide to play researchers. Just have different forms of research. Like it's that simple. Or just like take it in that kind of way where, yes, okay, I am this role, but I focus specifically in this thing. And then you say, okay, I'm also that role, but I specifically focus in this thing.
one thing that actually like really helps is like get your players together beforehand. If you're a DM, get your players together beforehand and just brainstorm over what kind of characters each person wants to play. Like, 2 people want to play scientists. That's cool. What kind of scientists? And can we get scientists that do different things? Even if you get scientists that technically like study the same thing, it could be different aspects of the same thing, and they can have completely like diverse attributes to themselves. Like, even if they study the same thing, they could be like one's an assistant to the other. They've got the whole assistant and doctor dynamic, and you know, figure out ways to just make it unique.
Exactly. And that's another good point, is that balancing doesn't just mean, oh, what is your role to fill? It also is, how do you react to the other PCs? Because, like, I'm going to bring up Lancer again, but in Edward's Lancer home game, I'm playing a man named Hiroshi, who's like this loner edgelord, hates everyone around them, like, doesn't interact with the people, but he's still not, like, the worst. I know how I just described him sounds like the worst, but that's kind of, like, the idea that I pitched, but he doesn't hate interacting with the people. He hates, quote unquote, all the people, but he still does a lot of banter and talks with the players. But he has an obvious kind of like hatred and rivalry with one of the other PCs named Eric, and they fight all the time. But me and the player of Eric like talk beforehand, and we go like, yeah, we're gonna like kind of get at each other's throats, but we're never gonna like swing on each other, because that's just kind of like the narrative that we want to fill, is just kind of like not shonen like rivalry, more like real kind of disdain for how the other person thinks, while also working with each other and not trying to sabotage each other, because it makes for interesting story without sacrificing fun play.
Yeah, and as the DM for that, I can say that it does lead to a lot of really interesting moments, especially when Eric, for example, ends up getting really close with one of the other player characters, and then Hiroshi's getting really pissed off at that player character because they did something that seems really stupid, but they don't know any better, and Eric's trying to comfort them, and then there's Hiroshi just fucking attacking them.
It's interesting actually, because that PC is played by one of our editors, Phil. Hi Phil, if you're listening to this. Phil's character is like this kid who's way over his head. He's a Lancer just because like he has nothing else to do, from what from basically my perspective on him, where he's just like trying to do what he thinks is right through a bunch of like Horus cult shit. And Eric has really taken Phil's character Spez under his wing and trying to slowly, gently parent him in like the world of ethics, and why, because he like Eric is an ex-soldier who left his army because he didn't believe in the cause that the like army was fighting for. He thought it was unethical. He thought it was it wasn't right.
If anyone watching knows Lancer, he specifically worked with Harrison Armory. So that gives you an idea, if you know anything about Harrison Armory, why he was so quick to
Yeah.
change his mind.
Yeah, didn't that company cause a genocide, like, in lore? Like, I'm pretty sure
They
they
didn't
did some...
cause a genocide. They're just formed out of the remnants of the people who did the genocide.
Oh, of course, my apologies. They just
And
believe in the genocide.
They're the group that thought the genocide was right.
Oh, of course. Well, then, maybe it's kind of weird. I don't know why Eric left. But yeah, like, because Eric has such strong empathy and sympathy, he's trying to, like, kind of teach that with, like, not force it upon Spez, but, like, teach what he knows and his experience on the field, while also teaching his experience as a person who's had to grapple with a lot of difficult topics and difficult issues that affect him pretty much every day. And Hiroshi wants Spez to act like a good soldier because that's all Hiroshi has been taught. Hiroshi isn't a soldier himself, but he's basically this genetically trained hitman. So one fuck up leads to a fucked up job, and a fucked up job means failure, and failure is unacceptable. So Hiroshi's like, you need to stop fucking up. You can't let that happen. Because you can't fail. You can't fail. And I think it's interesting because Hiroshi wasn't saying that it was obviously out of frustration, but not out of anger towards Spez as like, you fucked up my mission. At the end, like in this argument scene that you were talking about, Hiroshi, basically the reason that everyone's arguing, or that Hiroshi and Eric are kind of like talking to Spez, is because Spez let his NHP cascade, which is this big horrifying event that fucks up space-time and can cause mass death if not shut down really quickly. And so the NHP takes over, which are these
they're Eldritch AI.
Yeah, they're Eldritch AI. So he lets the Eldritch AI pilot his mech and basically cascade. And the last thing that Hiroshi tells Spez is, you're a better pilot than they are. Which, like, I wasn't planning on saying that in Hiroshi's voice, but I think it's very interesting that he said those words. Obviously, I said it, so I'm like, yeah, it's really cool and interesting and great dialogue. Good job, Slive. But I really
patting Slive on his back.
Yeah, exactly. It's Obama giving Obama the medal. I really think that I like that dialogue. I think Spez is going to be hurt by a lot of what Hiroshi says, and rightfully so. Hiroshi's kind of a dick, and he was hard, and he was like a hard ass, but in his own fucked up way, Hiroshi is really trying to build Spez's confidence and also like teach him how to do a good job. Not how to be a good person, because Hiroshi doesn't know how to do that, but
Hiroshi's
how to do a good job.
Not a good person.
That is canonical. That is a really big part of his character, that he's not a good person. Even though he really tries to be one, he just can't be. And that's been shown time after time after time, at least in the home game. You'll never see him. Hiroshi doesn't exist in this podcasting space other than when I talk about him.
Which I'm sure Slive will talk about him plenty.
I love Hiroshi. I probably will talk about it a lot. But I do think, like, narratively, what does Hiroshi do for the party? He is kind of a minor, kind of, not antagonist, but he's a foil for everyone else's kind of, like, positivity, or like, he's kind of like that realist nail underneath your kind of realist nail, just like constantly hitting you in the hip. And he's a dick, but he's kind of meant to be this spitter of all these, like, not even harsh truths, but just these harsh criticisms that everyone else can, like, eventually just be like, you need to shut the fuck up, what's wrong with you? And there's kind of like, he's just a fucking, like, attractor of conflict, really. I think that's the best way I can describe Hiroshi.
I want Hiroshi drawn as a tractor now.
He's a tractor. He's a transformer, but he can only turn into a tractor.
His morning cloak just turns into a tractor.
Yeah, that's awesome. Time to get to farming. Yeah, let's go. Do you have any other notes?
We went over most of the stuff I actually had written down already. We blazed through my notes real quick.
Yeah, I'm kind of going through the same thing. Like, I think I would like to fill
Is this
in.
gonna be a shorter episode?
It might be, but I would like to go over again, that for like that whole point of like, I think maybe this doesn't have to entirely do with the episode topic, but I really like to focus more on that not covering up your weakness part of the game, like of TTRPGs in general, because I feel like those weaknesses really make the character. And we're talking about making your unique character, making sure you fit a role, fit a niche, have all of these pieces to yourself that make your character unique. If you are good at everything, you are kind of boring. And I know everyone's like, well, Superman's the best-selling comic book character of all time. Superman has a weakness. It's a green fucking rock. But also, like, he's kind of weak. His weakness is kind of like himself and his willingness to just like put himself on the line. And that's also his greatest strength in the same way, right? And so if your character doesn't have, it doesn't have to be an obvious weakness either. I'm just like, if your character doesn't have a weakness, something that your character falters at, maybe an insecurity, maybe they're insecure about it, maybe they're aware of it, but something that where they're like, I can't do this. And someone, it gives no opportunity for someone else to step up and be like, I got you, you know?
Yeah.
Hand on the shoulder, I got this, don't worry.
And Slive's not saying that you should make your character weak to green rocks, just pointing that out.
No, I think that's stupid. Having a general weakness in some form or fashion, whether it is like a super weakness, maybe it is a green rock, fuck it, maybe it is a green rock, but having something that makes you unable to continue or unable to feel like you can move on very well is really interesting. Because also, sometimes your character is going to have to try it anyway. Like, if you're fucking weak and frail and you're not fit at all, your character, obviously not talking about you, you're probably sexy and handsome and jacked, but your character is frail and has like maybe -3 in strength, if we're talking about D&D terms, you still are going to have to make that athletics check eventually. And your character is going to have to look at the wall that they might have to scale and be like, oh no. Oh God, here we go. Let's figure this out. And having that kind of like humbling moment where you look at the die that you're about to roll, or looking at the piece of paper that says you can't do this, and still trying anyway, is really cool, because either you succeed, which no one expects and everyone gets up and celebrates. You're like, yes, let's fucking go. I got a 17 with the -3. That's a 14. That's a pass. Yo, yo, yo. Or you fail. And it's kind of expected. But it gives you a character moment where you're about to slip off the rocks and the big barbarian has to like reach out their hand and catch you before you fall. And that's a bonding moment. And that's really interesting. I think those lead to more inner character play. Those lead to ways where now your character has to find more ingenuity on how to stop themselves from fucking up again. Hello?
No, sorry, I was thinking.
That's okay.
Cut that out. Cut that out.
It's cut out. It's all right.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with what you've been saying. It is a thing of like, a lot of tabletop role-playing games do involve just an aspect of chance. And so even if you make a character that's quote-unquote perfect, you're going to roll a dice one time and you're going to get a 1 on that d20. And it's going to fuck up your whole plan.
Don't I know it?
Yeah, yeah. I love rolling 3 6s.
It was actually 3 4s, and it hurts
3 4s.
It hurts just as much. It was rolling 3d6s, and if you roll triples, then you're out of the game for the whole session. That's a real mechanic. Lancer actually sucks. Don't listen to anything else you've said about it.
Oh yeah, Lancer sucks because of that one mech
because
frame.
of one
that
one mechanic on one mech frame.
Everything about you read everything about that mech frame, and you
I
went,
chose it.
Yeah, this is the one I want. I just want to disappear if I roll wrong.
Yes, I did read it, and I was like, yep, that sounds like it's gonna suck if it happens, but whatevs. And then it happened session 2.
It happened the first session you got to use your mech.
Yeah, that's right. Crazy times.
And it's only gone downhill from there.
That's entirely true, actually. Don't listen to the propaganda of Lancer is good. It's only gone downhill. No,
So, for all our viewers at home, I have one bit of advice for Lancer. Don't pick the morning cloak.
that's so true. Don't pick the morning cloak if it's your first frame. I think there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with it, but if you're learning the game, don't pick the morning cloak. I know it looks really cool. Play the metal mark. It's just better. Play the metal mark. You will be able to do a lot more stuff with it and understand it a lot better. Play the metal mark. I think there is like, maybe I'm talking in circles and you can stop me if I am, but I think there is something to say for talking with your group, like we discussed, but also being willing to like look at your character and your plans and your ideas for them and say, I'm either going to tweak this character or I'm going to have to change characters because like the party just doesn't mesh with it. And that's not to say,
no, like I think we've both had to do that at least once.
I did it yesterday. I had a session 0 for an icon campaign that Dylan's going to be running for us for like some practices.
Is that what I interrupted?
Yeah, that's what you joined. I felt so bad. This is such a tangent. But last night we were in a Discord server where we were all just doing an icon session 0, and then Edward just shows up. And me and Dylan immediately like, Edward, you can't be here. Get out. As a bit, obviously. We were like, get the fuck out. But it was a bit. And then Edward left and he didn't come back. And for like the entire hour, I'm like, I hope he knows that we were joking. Where is he?
I was like, why are there people in here? And I joined the call and I just hear, Edward, you can't be here. And I was like, okay.
I feel so bad. For that session 0, we were doing an icon setting, and my character in ARM, who's like this fox thief revolutionary guy, I built months ago, I think, when we were first doing the first like sort of session 0s, and I was looking up the classes and I was starting to get into stuff. And so I'm playing a brave fool. That was my plan. And in Icon, there's 4 like general jobs or roles, and then there's like 4 jobs in each role. And so there's like the tank fighter, there's like the trickster dexterity gunslinger, there's the like support class, and then there's the like magic explosive big damage like glass cannon type. And 2 players I already knew were going to play like the magic like big DPS, and then one of the support characters. Micah's actually in that as well, and she's playing a support character. And so I was like, oh, I'll go the dex one. I'll go the dexterity one because like the fool fits the character the best. And the fourth player that hadn't chosen anything yet it's their first time ever playing a TTRPG. And so they came to the session yesterday, and they were like, I'm going to play this job. I can't remember the name of it, but it was in that dexterity class. And I was like, oh shit, because I hadn't gone yet. So I'm like, oh shit, okay. I don't want us to double up on that because now we have no tank, we have no vanguard, and I'm not going to be like, oh, actually, I chose fool like a month ago, so can you swap off? So I like quickly went to the website to look at all of the options I had, and there is a vanguard class called the Knave, which like the subtitle is like absolute bastard, and their special ability is like mock, and they're all about like this hatred condition, which basically like makes people hate you and it makes you hate them.
They're a taunt tank.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really cool. They have an ability where they just like go full feral, where they get hatred of the closest enemy, and they don't lose it until that enemy fucking dies. So I like kind of, because in ARM, who's the character, is very like slender and still kind of like is fox-like, but uses like coins to teleport and attack. And so I just kept that, and instead of being like this big tank with a bunch of armor, he just kind of slips around but still plays the tank role. And I'm totally cool. Obviously I would have liked to play the fool. They have like bombs and shit. They seem really cool mechanically in the combat stuff, but I'm so cool with playing Knave, and reading it, I'm more excited the more I read about it. And like, I'm very comfortable. I didn't really lose a lot from having to change up one piece of my character, and the character still feels like the thing I want to play. Sometimes that's not going to be the case. Sometimes you have to be like, if I'm going to play something else, or add this part to my character, it's going to sacrifice the core of the character, and I don't want that, so I'm going to just play a different character. Dylan does that a lot. And that's not a jab, but he does that a lot, and because he doesn't want to sacrifice what his character's core is, and I respect that.
I don't.
I think there's a happy medium to be made, obviously. But
as the person who's DM'd for him the most, it can be quite annoying at times.
Yeah, I think it's frustrating when you have. I think the most frustrating part is when the GM really loves your idea, like loves your character, and you feel like it can still work with the party, but the player doesn't. And I think there's some disconnect to be there. Yeah. And it does cause frustration, but I think there's a happy medium to be made, obviously. But if you feel like you're sacrificing your core, like the core of what you want your character to do, for like by adding or removing something, don't do it. Make something else, and still you can play around with it, because like I don't know how often everyone plays TTRPGs, but if you have a really cool character idea, it'll work eventually. It'll work somewhere, and if it never works anywhere, well, then maybe they're a bit too niche, and you might need to make some sacrifices. But that's up to a lot of discretion, a lot of determination, a lot of discussion, and that's not for me to say whether it's right or wrong, but that's something to keep in mind, I think. Do you have anything else to add about this topic before I think we're getting close to figuring it out? Okay, nothing at all. Do you have any last words to say, just like any kind of like culminations of your thoughts about this topic?
Culmination of thoughts. No matter what your character idea you have, always pitch it to your game master. Worst thing they can say is no. Best thing they can say is yes. And second, kind of in the middle, is we'll figure something out using that as a basis. No matter what, always try and be unique. You don't need to, like, there is never a time you need to fall into stereotypes. You can always do something that just seems off the rails. Again, just make sure it's okay with your DM. And always remember that TTRPGs aren't a static thing. You don't have to be diverse. Yeah, like, you don't have to have class diversity. You don't have to have too much character diversity. Just try to be diverse because it's more fun. But you can always just do whatever you enjoy doing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good sentiment. There is... We said a lot of things, but these are not absolutes. These are just tips, obviously.
And personal opinions.
Yeah, personal opinions, they are not absolutes. We are not masters of TTRPGs. We, like, even just starting this podcast, I felt like I've learned so much about the medium that I still need to explore. But this is from, I don't know, maybe like 7 years of experience, I guess, at this point. Something like that, like on and off experience. We've been majorly into it for like 3, I would say. But this is all just stuff that you have to go through with your party, because everything we said might have some validity to it, but also you have to talk with your party. You have to decide whether you are unhappy with sharing the spotlight in certain actions with this party member, or whether or not you're okay with it. You have to decide whether or not you need 2 tanks, or whether maybe you need a support and a healer. And I think the biggest thing is you can always change stuff later as long as your GM is okay with it. You can always figure stuff out on the fly. You can always decide that maybe who your character is needs to be fleshed out a little more. All in all, just try to talk with your party and talk about what you bring to the table and what others bring to the table, and find a way to make it a really good mix. But I think that's all for us for tonight. This has been Sleep Talk. It's time to wake up. Thank you so much for joining us. You can follow us on a lot of social medias. They're all linked around below, probably in the description of YouTube, in the description of our Spotify. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time.
Oh, the nosebleed is bad. Holy shit.
Are you nosebleeding?
I've had a nosebleed for the past 3 days.
3 days?
Yeah.
Including when you were at Ian's?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
It just wasn't bad when I was at Ian's.
Oh, no.
I think it's just the heat, but I'll be fine.
Okay. Are you going to talk with a tissue up your nose the whole fucking time?
Yup. I'm going to sound shitty as hell.
Hey, guys.
Tissue up my nose. Hey guys.
Hey everybody, welcome to Sleep Talk. Thank you for joining us. Sorry if my voice sounds a little off. I'm bleeding from every orifice possible.
God damn. I had to die in a few minutes.
You never really think about how much blood is in the human body until it starts coming out of you.